Hi there. Thanks for attending the webinar. My name is Frank Miller. I'm the Managing Director for Track Record Global. We're a UK company that works with a range of large retailers in the UK and elsewhere in the world, some in Australia, for instance, and some in Asia. And basically, these retailers outsource their supply chain due diligence in relation to timber to Track Record Global, because we've got a lot of background in that area, and also we've got great service delivery, good record of that. And our particular role is helping suppliers understand what's involved in managing risk and compliance in their supply chain, using our innovative IT systems. And basically, I want to talk today about how we see this, how we see where we've got to at the current time, why we are where we are, and what we see the future looking like in terms of supply chain due diligence. And yeah, so hopefully we'll whiz through these slides and give you a view of where Track Record's thinking is in terms of all our interaction with our customers. Next slide, please. So basically, looking at things in a sort of very general way, there is a steady increasing demand for products to increase in quality, if you like. So just like the cars that we buy each year, you know, what you had to pay extra for 2 years ago is now a sort of standard feature in all models. When I was young, there was no such thing as air conditioning. Now you'd be, you know, you wouldn't buy a car unless you'd had air conditioning. So quality steadily ramps up the whole time. And if you sort of look back in history, when people started trading products, you know, often you're buying a product from someone you didn't see, you didn't know who it was and where they were. What you were really concerned about, and I'm talking about many years ago, is that products were fit for purpose. That basically, if you purchased a screwdriver, it was a screwdriver that worked, and you know, you could actually undo screws with it or do up screws with it. Then latterly, as we became, I guess, more sophisticated, civilization improved, people wanted more quality out of that. They wanted a screwdriver that wasn't going to damage them. It wasn't going to snap when they were undoing a screw or doing a screw up. So health and safety issues became really important. So yeah, you didn't want the screwdriver to kill you or your family. So and then things have progressed on from there, in that increasingly we're worried that not only do we want the item to be fit for purpose, we don't want to kill us or our families, and we don't want to actually damage people who are actually making it either. We don't want to we don't want to reduce the quality of the life or kill the people who are basically making the products. You know, that sense of community, of protecting the overall community, is becoming increasingly important to us. So that's driving the evolution of a new set of qualities. And I think in the longer term, as that sort of spreads wider, it's not just about the supply chain people, it's not just about communities along the supply chain. It increasingly also becomes about the actual whole of civilization, the earth as we know it. And you know, I think greenhouse gases, climate change, these are going to become more and more important issues as time progresses, probably in the near future. So it's not, so the whole issue of quality is expanding, and often these things start off as voluntary qualities. You know, it would be good if it did this, to governments actually starting to legislate. And I think that's where we're going to be going in the next 5 years with greenhouse gases, more and more so than we are already. Okay, next slide. So looking at it in sort of from a retailer perspective, retailers are always wanting to differentiate their product in the marketplace. They are always wanting to show that their product is better than their competitor's product, so you will come and buy their product. And again, we take the car analogy, a car, someone selling a car will say, well, my car's faster, it's more economic to run, it's more luxurious. These are the particular special qualities it's got, and it's better than those sold by that competitor over there. So you're seeking to differentiate your product. And it's the same for wooden products. It's no different, really, same model. So people selling wooden products are looking to add new qualities so they can differentiate their market their product in the marketplace. So they're looking at sustainability and compliance qualities as new qualities to add to their goods. And surprise, surprise, that's what they're increasingly starting to ask for. So that's why the corporate timber policies are becoming more and more demanding in terms of the supply chain issues. So the tricky thing about some of these new qualities, these non-technical qualities, are that they concern the whole supply chain. And basically, you are trying to show that your product has these new non-technical qualities by demonstrating that all the things that degrade those qualities are not present in your supply chain. It's a sort of negative type thing. So it's obviously it demands a very different approach than, say, moisture content or strength or figure, which you can actually physically look at and technically measure. These are these new qualities that help differentiate the product. They're about the supply chain, they're non-technical. So you need systems basically to show that your product has these qualities or has not lost these qualities as they come down the supply chain. So we're having to, it therefore involves all the supply chain actors and requires a transparent view of the supply chain. Next slide. So you are, as a retailer facing into the consumer, you've got to start developing these transparency systems that cover the whole supply chain so that you can add sustainability and compliance performance to your product. So it becomes critical that you are able to map the supply chain in a transparent way, because often people will say, you're just saying that, show me. So you have to have the ability to be able to show that these new non-technical qualities exist and that they cover all the resource base. So you will find more and more of these non-technical qualities being applied to products that have a supply chain and come from a natural resource. And you need to be able to demonstrate that you're not killing the community or destroying the world associated with the products that you are buying. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so how does Track Record Global do this process? How do we do these new non-technical qualities? Well, as we're looking at this in a sort of particular timber way, we start off, our approach is that every product has some risks of not having these qualities in it. So, it's a sort of, you have to prove you're innocent, if you like. We assume you're guilty, which is quite a good way to start, because there's a lot of illegal product being traded still. So, and the stuff that basically, if you like, builds the red arrow on the left, builds the risk of non-compliance, of non-performance, of no quality that you're looking at. So, no non-technical qualities is for timber is based on generally the country of the harvest, country of manufacture, the species, and also the commitment of the suppliers in the supply chain to engage in the process. If you're assuming everyone's a bit guilty before you start off, but you can't get the information to prove that they're innocent, to prove that the products have those non-technical qualities, then you just have to assume that they haven't got them. So the engagement of suppliers in the process is really important. So yeah, and so this approach allows you to basically understand the risk that you have with a particular product or a particular supply chain, and then the objective is to basically try and de-risk those supply chains with evidence that you gather from the supply chain actors. So you start off, you calculate the level of risk, and then you go out to the supply chain actors and you say, right, to prove that this quality, this new non-technical quality is present, I need to gather these bits of second-party, third-party documents to show that this stuff is happening, that these products do come from this country of origin, that they have been legally harvested, that they have been legally transported. So it's gathering that documentary evidence that offsets the risk, that basically squashes the risk, that takes the risk away. And also what's very important, it then enables you, when somebody says, well, show me that this product has this particular non-technical quality, then you have all the data, all the documentary evidence to show that that is the case. It's that level of transparency, that easy access to the supply chain map with all that information on it, that's very important. Next slide, please. So how do we do this? Well, mapping the supply chain is a very fundamental part of the process. It basically allows you to understand who all the actors are, and then to be able to qualify and explain to the actors what pieces of information you need to be able to support your idea, that basically to demonstrate in a transparent way that these products have been de-risked, that they are compliant with the particular requirements for this non-technical quality. And this is also, it acts as a way of communicating with suppliers as well. It enables them to go back down their supply chain to say, these are the documents that Track Record needs to provide this reassurance. So it's a really fundamental and important document. And it provides the basis of, again, this idea of transparency. So that each step in the supply chain needs to be mapped. Each step needs to be backed up with documentary evidence appropriate for that particular step. And it provides a convincing argument that basically we've put in front of many different government agencies around the world when they've said, well, show me that this product is compliant with this particular requirement. Could be anti-slavery, could be legality, could be innumerable different of these new risks that people are concerned about. And in every case, they've been convinced. We've shown them that this is the way to go. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so we've said that the supply chain map is the fundamental tool. And for EUTR, legality is basically what it's all about. So we can demonstrate through our systems that products are legally sourced, that non-technical quality legality is built into the products that are delivered to often our clients, the retailers. Now, as time goes by, new qualities are going to be added to that, are going to be built on top of this supply chain map, such as responsible sourcing. And obviously FSC and PEFC are markers of that. And then there will be other technical requirements, non-technical requirements rather, like anti-slavery. and ultimately climate change and greenhouse gases that will be all built on top of this supply chain map. So we absolutely believe that this is how the whole process is going to go forwards. And at the moment, interestingly, we're doing some work with an organization called Responsible Steel, which is basically FSC, Forest Stewardship Council, responsible sourcing program for the steel sector. And we've been asked to build some supply chain maps for the steel sector for particular products. And so, and again, the whole responsible steel program has multiple different standards, but I can see the situation whereby they're going to use this supply chain map then to build these new requirements, these standard issues like, you know, community involvement, responsible sourcing. There's about 12 different standards. They're going to use the supply chain foundation on which to graft these new qualities onto. Okay, next slide, please. So we believe that the supply chain map, building you as suppliers, that you should be considering now how to develop your own supply chain maps, basically, so that you know where your product is coming from, so that you are in a strong position when you start talking to retailers to say, well, this is what my supply chains look like. Because these are qualities they're going to want to know about. Just like you're doing, you're testing your product in test houses for this strength or this glue type or that glue type. The next evolution for non-technical issues is to build a supply chain map and to have those ready for your retailers going forward. So in the future, that you'll be able to demonstrate that you are addressing these new performance issues, these new non-technical qualities in a responsible and proactive manner, and that you're also able to do it in a cost-efficient manner as well. Or you will be forced by your suppliers, as you are at the moment, increasingly for EUTR, to get this done, and you will be forced by your customers to hire third parties, and there'll be lots of expense involved. And also, increasingly, before they will buy a product, they will want to see a supply chain map. So we strongly believe that it's in your interest to take a proactive approach to this sort of issue. Next slide, please. So as time progresses, from our experience, retailers are having to reduce their quality teams because they're all under massive cost pressure from the likes of Amazon and so forth. So they were reducing their staff in the quality area, and they are forcing their suppliers to take more and more responsibility for risk management and showing that these new non-technical qualities are present. Absolutely fundamental to this are effective IT systems that enables the retailers, even though they have a reduced QA capacity, enables them through the use of good IT that they are getting cost-efficient transparency on what their suppliers are doing, so they can see, so that you can demonstrate to them in a very easy and simple, straightforward manner that these new qualities are present. And I think this new ability, this new transparency is essential for retailer confidence. and they will basically seek out suppliers that can actively demonstrate that they are prepared to share this type of information with them. And basically, if they can't see it in the future, they are going to say, well, we will appoint third-party auditors to do this work on your behalf, but you will pay. So it's, in our view, it's much better to be proactive, to find a cost-effective way of doing this, and then to be able to go to the retailers and say, look, I've already checked out my supply chains, there is no risk here. So we see that as the future. So we think there's a great opportunity basically to control this process and to deliver quality to your customers in a cost-efficient manner using new IT-driven approaches. So, quickly coming to a conclusion from today's webinar, responsibility for delivering quality products, these new qualities that we've been talking about, these new non-technical qualities, is moving up the supply chain from retailers to tier one suppliers, producers, manufacturers. So you're going to get more and more push to take on responsibility for all aspects of quality yourselves, basically. The retailers are going to say, we've done our bit, we've funded it in the past, we're not going to fund it any longer, we expect you to deliver these new non-technical qualities yourselves. But, and here's the big proviso, that what you are doing and the outcome of that process, you're going to have to be very transparent about. You're going to have to make those supply chain maps available to your retail customers, because they're going to want to be able to, at some point, just go on there, go on a website, click on a product, and be able to feel confident that due diligence has been done and these new non-technical qualities are present in that product and that you have delivered for that. And I think the big opportunity is that there is now IT available that allows you to do the due diligence and make it transparent in a really cost-efficient manner. So that leaves you as suppliers basically with two choices. Either you're going to take the initiative, keep pace with new sustainability and compliance requirements, manage your costs and meet retailers' new quality demands in a proactive way, or you're going to sit back, be forced to pay for third-party audits, become less competitive, and ultimately potentially lose business. So we think that's the choice in the future. So that's it in terms of the message from Track Record. If you like or are interested in what you've heard and you want to hear more from us on how we can facilitate due diligence against these non-technical product qualities and how we can provide the IT transparency for your retailers in a cost-efficient manner, give us a shout. Email us or get in contact via the website on sales@trackrecord.com. Okay, thank you very much indeed for your time. Goodbye.